One thing I've learned about moving twice in the span of 3 months, and now being moved properly for like a month or two into my home for the next few years, is everything takes time. And it's not something that you want to be able to turn around and say, it's like, oh yeah, of course everything takes time, and of course everything is slow, and of course everything moves at its own pace, but it really does take time. Time for a bank account to be set up, or time for proof of address, to get hired, to make new friend groups, or to simply get used to the city you're living in, or even to get used to the home that you're now living in. And we live in this kind of society right now where everything has to be immediate, everything has to happen right away, and if it doesn't, it's the end of the world. I used to have a lot of patience. And over the years, being on social media and creating content and doing all these different things, I realized that my patience had been slowly worn away to the point where I was becoming impatient. Even when you had to wait a week in order for something to come through the post, you're sitting there wondering every day, when is this going to come in? When is this going to happen? And we are blessed with the fact that we have things like instant communication all across the globe, where things can move from one side of the globe to the other in less than a week, when it used to take months, if not years, for that to happen. And as I'm sitting here talking about this, I realize how impatient I've been in settling into my new place. Constantly wanting to do the next thing, constantly wanting to do everything all at once, when in reality, I have the next few years to slowly settle into this place and to make this place my home. And the same can be said of my career, my online channels, and my side projects, my hustles, or side hustles as you might call them. None of these things happen overnight. And I used to be so understanding of that concept and so aware of it, but over time, it kind of just slipped through my fingers. And the more time that passes, the more impatient I get with wanting something to succeed. And I did something that I never thought I would do after 10 years being a freelancer. But after moving into this new city, I got a job. And I know for a lot of people, they may turn around and go, well, of course you did. You need money to survive. But for 2 months, 2.5 months really, I didn't have any income coming in. And I've been a freelancer online for the last decade. And it was the first time in over half a decade really, that I haven't had money coming in on a regular basis through my projects. And I wasn't able to have money coming in through my projects. And I didn't know when the next time was I was going to get a client, because I didn't know when I was going to get internet. When you move to a new country, you can't really rely on the old country's phone and its data, because there's just not enough of it, and you don't rely on it because, well, you can't upload videos at a constant stream. And although I did get my internet sorted and up and running, I'm still waiting on my bank account. And yet, in the time that's passed, I've gotten myself a job. The one thing I swore to myself I would never do: work for someone else. And as I'm in my almost third week of working for someone else, I realize something. And it may seem very mundane, but I was so patient with myself, with my projects, with my work, that whenever I started working for someone else and I realized how slowly everyone else was working and how slowly everything else was moving in this new business, in this new work environment, I realized that I want to succeed more than I want to breathe. But in order to do that, I have to be patient. I have to wait. I don't know how long I'll have to wait or how patient I'll have to be, but I have to force myself to have patience, more so than I've ever needed before. Now, I'm not talking down or degrading anyone that has a 9-to-5. In fact, I respect it. I really do. Despite the fact that I seem to work quite hard at the tasks I'm given. There's also the underlying concept of I could improve this. I could do better than this. I can make this more efficient. I can make it so that it's better. And I want to. I've had to pull myself back a little bit because the problems I see in the business, I want to tell the owner all these different things. But at the same time, I realize that's not my position anymore. I have to hold my tongue. I have to be patient. I have to wait a second and to control myself. I have to learn patience because I'm not the one in charge anymore. And sometimes in life, you have to relinquish control. And that's something I have a very hard time doing. But it's something that everyone in their life has to do at one point or another, for the betterment of not just themselves, but for others. Sometimes it's okay to relinquish control. Sometimes it's okay to force yourself to have patience. You need to have that skill. You need to have the skill of patience and waiting and holding yourself back from saying things that undoubtedly would help other people, but you know it's not your place to say. You know it is not your responsibility to speak up. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean for interpersonal relations or anything like that, or things that you believe in, but when it comes to the business aspect or your career, sometimes that's what you have to do. It sounds bad, I will admit, but everyone has had one of those bosses that no matter what you say or do, you'll never get ahead. And your best bet is to, hide your head and just do the work you're given. But that doesn't mean you have to half-arse it. Everything in life, you should whole-arse it. For lack of a better word. Because even if it's just something as simple and mundane as a 9-to-5 just to pay the bills, that's what you're doing with your precious time. And you can take satisfaction in that. You can take pride in that. Whatever it may be. So I guess the point of this little talk is quite simple. Practice patience. Practice holding your tongue. And practice gratitude for the situation you're in. No matter how dire the situation is, you can claw your way out of it. But you can only do so with patience, perseverance, and humility. Thanks for watching. Take care.